Welcome to the channel The Coins Explorer. Stop scrolling and open your eyes, because what you're about to see could completely change the way you think about pennies forever. Today, we're stepping into a world where a tiny 1971 1-cent coin isn't just a penny. It's a $134 million legend due to its extraordinary combination of rare errors, unlikely minting anomalies, and the sort of mysterious production circumstances that have made collectors, researchers, and experts reconsider everything they thought they knew about one of the most commonly produced coins in American history. Because although the 1971 cent may sound like nothing more than another copper penny that millions of people once carried casually in their pockets, this particular coin story is far more complex, layered, and unbelievable than anyone could imagine. And today we are going to walk through the reasons collectors consider it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery capable of commanding jaw-dropping value, starting from its potential errors, the minting issues that could have created such a rarity, the theories circulating among experts, and the combination of factors that turn an ordinary Lincoln cent into something worth more than a luxury mansion, private jet, and rare diamond collection combined. Because when it comes to the 1971 penny, there are certain mistakes that no one expected to appear on a coin of this era, yet once identified, they opened the door to speculation about how such a piece could exist, whether it was the result of misaligned dies, double striking, off-metal planchet use, dramatic die deterioration, transitional mistakes, or an incredibly rare experimental strike that slipped out of the mint unnoticed. And collectors around the world have been captivated by the idea that a single copper cent could hide the kind of errors that simply do not appear in regular circulation, as the 1971 production year also came with its own set of challenges within the mint, including die fatigue from heavy production cycles, the ongoing shift in alloy compositions across different years, and the possibility that leftover planchets from experimental tests or transitional phases could have accidentally been mixed into the regular batches. And this is where the true fascination begins, because one of the leading theories behind the $134 million valuation revolves around the idea that a very small number of 1,971 1-cent coins may have been struck on wrong planchets intended for other denominations, or even struck with partially outdated dies that were not supposed to be used at that time. And when a coin emerges showing doubling across the date, the lettering, or the portrait features such as Lincoln's eye, jawline, or bow tie, the possibilities of mechanical doubling, die deterioration doubling, or true hub doubling come into the picture, though for a coin to reach such unimaginable value, it would need to display doubling so sharp, precise, and dramatic that collectors would know instantly they were looking at something special. And there are also reports of 1971 cents exhibiting striking anomalies, like off-center strikes where the design is shifted significantly to one side, broad strikes with missing rims because the coin was struck outside the collar, or even the extremely rare bond, lamination, and clipped planchet errors that reveal imperfections in the copper metal itself. And while many of these errors appear across different years, what sets the 1971 discovery apart is the idea that one particular example combines multiple extraordinary flaws into one impossible coin, making it more than a mere collectible but a once-in-history minting accident that transforms the penny into a global headline. And experts have long emphasized that when multiple major errors occur in the same strike, especially if the coin also features an unexpected metallic composition such as being struck on a leftover bronze planchet from earlier years or on an experimental alloy disc that wasn't intended for public release, the rarity skyrockets. And this is exactly why the 1971 cent has stirred the imagination of collectors. Because if even one example exists showing something like a double die obverse, an off-metal strike, a curved clip, a rotated die alignment, and compression marks from improper striking pressure all in the same coin, it becomes more than a minting fluke. It becomes the kind of coin that auction houses fight over and wealthy collectors pursue with blank check intensity. Because coins of this magnitude are considered national treasures, within the numismatic community, and while many people have found interesting 1971 pennies and pocket change displaying light doubling, minor die chips, or faint misalignments, none of those ordinary errors come close to the level needed to create a piece valued at $134 million, since this kind of price tag only attaches itself to a coin that defies normal error expectations and enters the realm of unprecedented historical significance. And when you imagine what such a coin might look like, you envision a 1971 cent where the profile of Lincoln could appear doubled to such a crisp and dimensional degree that it resembles a carved relief, where the lettering in Liberty might show not just one layer of doubling but multiple shifted impressions, where the date itself may present dramatic and unmistakable double digits that confirm a true hub doubling event, one of the rarest and most valuable types of mint errors, and where the surface might reveal planchet imperfections like peeling metal layers due to lamination errors, giving the coin a raw, powerful, industrial character that instantly signals rarity. And when you combine those possibilities with the additional theory that the coin might have been struck using a slightly different metal alloy unintentionally mixed into the minting process, the value becomes astronomical because an off-metal error on a modern cent is one of the highest forms of rarity. And if this particular 1971 example was struck on something like a leftover blank intended for a foreign coin or a transitional metal planchet from the shifting U.S. cent compositions being tested around that era, the uniqueness would be beyond comparison, as collectors are always searching for coins that exist in a quantity of one, and a coin with a combination of errors so unique that it stands alone instantly becomes something that museums, elite investors, and top-tier auction houses treat like sacred artifacts. And the public's fascination increases the moment a coin enters mythical status, because stories circulate that a particular 1971 penny has been evaluated by top experts and declared not only genuine, but impossibly rare. You have the perfect storm of numismatic excitement, investor hype, historical intrigue, and collector obsession, pushing the value into territory where only the wealthiest individuals in the world can compete. And this is exactly why discussions of a $134 million penny become so electrifying, because they remind people that even the most ordinary looking coin can hide a once-in-a-lifetime secret, and this encourages millions of people to check their change jars, search their pocket change, examine their old boxes of coins, and look closely at every 1971 cent they come across, hoping that they too might stumble upon the rarest penny ever discovered. And the beauty of coin collecting lies in exactly this possibility, the idea that treasure can be waiting anywhere, in anyone's home, and the next legendary discovery could be found by a beginner or an expert alike, because every rare coin that becomes a sensation also inspires countless new collectors to join the hobby, and the 1971 cent valued at $134 million serves as the ultimate reminder that extraordinary stories are hidden in the smallest objects, that mistakes made on a minting floor decades ago can become priceless artifacts today, and that the world of numismatics is full of mysteries still waiting to be uncovered. And so as we explore the possibilities behind what makes this particular coin so valuable, from dramatic doubling to off-center striking, from long planchets to extreme die errors, from rotation issues to metal composition anomalies, we understand why the coin world has been buzzing with theories, speculation, and excitement, and this ongoing fascination turns the 1971 penny into one of the most discussed and awe-inspiring coins of the modern era, encouraging everyone watching right now to take a closer look at their own collection. Because you never know when the next unbelievable minting miracle will appear right in the palm of your hand. Next, 1976 1 cent USA coin. We are exploring one of the most unbelievable stories in numismatics, a 1976 1 cent coin that reportedly reached a staggering value of $52 million because of its extraordinary combinations of mint errors, striking anomalies, planchet issues, and rare production circumstances that make it one of the most talked about pennies among serious collectors. passionate hobbyists and treasure hunters waiting for their own lucky discovery. And as we explore every possible error, mistake, and hidden detail that could push a simple copper coin into the multi-million-dollar range, make sure you imagine holding this unassuming little piece of metal that looks like any other penny but contains secrets that only a trained eye can detect. Secrets that might be sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, boxes, and old collections all over the world, because the story of the 1976 1 cent is not just about a date on a coin, but about the rarest possibilities colliding at the perfect moment, starting with the fact that 1976 was the United States bicentennial year, a year when the mint was heavily focused on producing special commemorative quarters, half dollars, and dollars featuring the dual-dated 1776 to 1976 designs, and during this period of intense production, overloaded machinery, planchet mixing, and transitional issues created unusual opportunities for mistakes to occur, which could explain how a 1976 1 cent could have been struck on the wrong metal planchet, such as a leftover 1974 aluminum experimental planchet, a foreign coin planchet, or even an off-metal blank intended for another denomination. And coins struck on the wrong planchet are some of the most valuable errors in existence because they combine rarity, confusion, and historical significance all in one object. But the possibility of the 1976 penny being struck on aluminum would instantly make it priceless, since aluminum cents are legally restricted, extremely rare, and surrounded by controversy, and even a single surviving example could ignite a bidding war that reaches tens of millions in value. But that is just the beginning, because other errors such as double strikes, broad strikes, off-center strikes, and multiple clashing events could compound the value significantly, especially if the coin shows a dramatic visual anomaly, like a bold off-center strike that still preserves a complete date and most of Lincoln's portrait, or a dual strike error where the second strike overlaps the first in a stunning display of minting chaos. And serious collectors pay enormous premiums for coins where the errors are not only dramatic but also aesthetically captivating, because such coins are considered artwork created by accident, moments where the mint machinery malfunctioned in a perfectly imperfect way, capturing an unrepeatable event in metal. And another factor that could push the 1976 1 cent to such massive value is a potential double die error, where the design elements such as liberty, the date, or the motto, "In God We Trust," appear doubled, tripled, or distorted due to misalignment of the working hubs during the creation of the dies. And while not all doubled dies are rare, extreme doubled dies are legendary and can change the entire market for a particular coin. And if the 1976 cent displays a dramatic Class V or rotated hub doubling that is easily visible without magnification, collectors could view it as one of the most important discoveries of the modern era, elevating it to multi-million-dollar status. And then there is the question of planchet purity, because during the bicentennial years the mint was experimenting with various metals to reduce production costs, and any surviving transitional composition errors, such as a coin struck on a 95% copper planchet when it should have been a different alloy, or struck on a bronze or brass foreign planchet, would immediately draw global attention, especially if metallurgical testing revealed an astonishing anomaly like an extremely pure copper content or a composition that matches an experimental batch. And when a coin story becomes tied to mint confusion, experimental production, or transitional history, its value skyrockets, because collectors know such pieces cannot be artificially replicated. And then we dive into the possibility of die breaks, die chips, cuts, and shattered die patterns, which occur when aging dies develop cracks that transfer onto the coin in the form of raised metal lines or missing sections. And if the 1976 cent features a massive cut over Liberty, or a dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's bust or connecting major design elements, this visual uniqueness could draw collectors who specialize in specific die states, and any coin that features a nearly terminal die state strike becomes a major rarity, potentially adding millions to the value if combined with other errors. And another fascinating possibility is a strike-through error, where debris, cloth, metal shavings, or even fragments of another coin get between the die and the planchet during striking, creating an ultra-unique imprint locked into the surface of the coin forever. And if the object embedded or imprinted into the 1976 penny has historical relevance to the mint or is part of another coin, collectors may view it as a once-in-a-generation error, greatly multiplying its value. And then, there is one more layer of mystery that fuels the hype around multi-million-dollar coins: the potential for a unique discovery. Coin, meaning only one exists, one that came from a specific moment in the mint where multiple failures happened at once, such as the wrong planchet entering the chamber, striking pressure fluctuating, dies misaligned, and machine timing malfunctioning, all of which combine to create a coin that is literally impossible to duplicate. And collectors go absolutely wild for unique error coins, because the idea of owning something no other human on Earth possesses has an emotional and psychological impact far beyond its metal value, and that is why rare pennies like this become the ultimate treasure, drawing the highest bidders at auction houses. And a 1976 cent with extreme errors, especially one authenticated by top grading companies, could easily cause a bidding frenzy among high-end collectors, investors, and museums who understand the historical weight of such a piece. And if the coin also displays extraordinary mint luster, sharp remaining details, or an unusually high grade, considering the error, the value skyrockets even more because grade and eye appeal play crucial roles in final price, and the combination of powerful visual appeal, extreme rarity, historical context, and dramatic mint mistakes is exactly what creates a coin worth $52 million, while the legend of a coin like this also inspires collectors everywhere to check their own change, because the next record-breaking discovery could be sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket like a completely ordinary penny, until someone finally recognizes its potential. So the story of the 1976 1 cent becoming worth millions reminds us just how exciting coin collecting can truly be, and why even the smallest coin can hold unimaginable value when errors, history, and rarity collide in the perfect way. Next, 1986 1 cent USA coin. We're exploring the incredible story of a 1986 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike with a jaw-dropping potential value of $16 million. And as unbelievable as that sounds, the combination of extraordinary mint errors, production anomalies, and improbable survival conditions make this particular set one of the most talked about pieces in the hobby. So settle in as we unwrap every possibility, every mistake, and every hidden detail that could transform an ordinary-looking penny into a multi-million-dollar numismatic marvel. And whether you're a beginner, a casual collector, or a seasoned treasure hunter, this journey into the mysteries of the 1986 cent will open your eyes to how remarkable minting errors can elevate even the most common coins into staggering fortunes, motivating you to check your change carefully, because extraordinary value often hides in the smallest places. The 1986 1 cent comes from an era when the U.S. Mint had already transitioned from the earlier copper composition to the newer copper-plated zinc planchets, a shift that created new kinds of errors unique to this material. And because zinc is softer and more reactive, mistakes that once were impossible or rare suddenly became likely, opening the door for dramatic misstrikes, plating issues, off-metal pieces, and even experimental or transitional anomalies that could slip through quality control. And collectors know that when it comes to huge values, the magic happens when multiple rare factors collide in a single coin. So understanding what could make a 1986 cent worth $16 million begins with examining the unusual problems tied to zinc planchets. One of the most dramatic possibilities is an off-metal strike, a scenario where the coin was accidentally struck on a foreign or wrong planchet, something that happened more often than people realize during busy periods at the mint. And imagine a 1986 cent struck not on a typical copper-plated zinc blank, but on a leftover bronze planchet from 1982, or even on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. creating a piece with the wrong weight, wrong composition, and wrong appearance instantly, elevating its rarity to the highest possible tier, because wrong metal strikes on post-1982 pennies are among the most coveted errors in the world of numismatics, and auction houses have already seen extraordinary prices for similar mistakes. Another key feature that could drive the value sky high is a dramatic double die error, especially on the obverse where Lincoln's profile, the date, or the motto shows clear secondary impressions, something collectors absolutely love because double dies represent a mistake engraved into the die itself rather than a simple striking mishap, and these errors often become legendary, with some double dies selling for over $1 million even in circulated condition. So imagine a bold doubled 1986 date or doubled Liberty combined with a unique composition anomaly, instantly creating a once-in-a-lifetime coin that collectors would battle fiercely over. Even more fascinating are plating errors that were unique to the copper-plated zinc era, as thin copper layers could blister, bubble, or separate, and in extremely rare cases the plating might be missing entirely on one or both sides, revealing the bright zinc core beneath. And while plating errors alone don't reach million-dollar levels, when combined with another major error, such as an off-center strike, a broad strike, or an incorrect planchet, they become exponentially more desirable because the rarity magnifies when errors stack, and high-grade survival becomes even more improbable. Speaking of off-center strikes, a 1986 sent dramatically off-center but still showing the full date can attract fierce interest, and when combined with additional anomalies like rotated dies, partial collars, or even double strikes where the coin was stamped twice in different positions, the uniqueness multiplies, and it's this combination of impossible odds that could push a coin into multi-million-dollar territory. Another powerful possibility comes from transitional errors, which occur when leftover planchets from previous years accidentally get fed into presses for later designs. And while the famous 1982 transition is the most well-known in the Lincoln Cent series, the mint occasionally had leftover stock or unexpected mixing of metals. So a 1986 cent struck on a bronze planchet weighing around 3.11 grams rather than the standard 2.5 grams could immediately attract the attention of every major grading company, and if authenticated with distinctive die markers and error characteristics, such a coin could absolutely become one of the rarest modern cents ever discovered. There's also the remote but electrifying possibility of a proof-like or experimental strike, something produced unintentionally during adjustments or die tests, and these unusual pieces sometimes escape the mint without being recorded, making them almost mythical. And if a coin shows extraordinary sharpness, mirrored surfaces, and unique metallic qualities inconsistent with standard circulation strikes, authentication could reveal a special production origin that adds to its mystique and market value. Another reason the 1986 cent could reach 16 million comes from the extreme unlikelihood of such an error surviving in immaculate condition, because zinc cents tend to corrode, discolor, and deteriorate far faster than their bronze predecessors. So for a major error coin to remain pristine without bubbles, oxidation, or surface damage would be nothing short of miraculous. And collectors will pay astronomical premiums for error coins that combine rarity with superb preservation, especially if the coin grades at the highest levels like MS68 or MS69, which for zinc cents is exceptionally difficult to achieve. Imagine a coin with multiple simultaneous errors: a bronze transitional planchet, a bold double die obverse, an off-center strike showing the full date, a missing plating patch revealing pure zinc, or perhaps even an incorrect die pair intended for a different year, all together forming a coin so fantastically improbable that it exists as a singular specimen. And the numismatic world has proven time and again that when a coin becomes unique or nearly unique, bidding wars erupt across major auction houses, pushing final prices into territory most collectors would never expect for a simple 1-cent piece. The story becomes even more compelling when we consider the human and mechanical factors present at the mint in the mid-1980s. Large production numbers, fast-paced operations, complex machinery transitions, and increased demand for circulating coins, meaning conditions were perfect for small mistakes to slip through unnoticed, and while most errors were caught and destroyed. The sheer scale of production ensures that a few extraordinary survivors might still be waiting to surface in collections. Bank rolls or inherited coin jars. It's also worth imagining the thrill of the person who might one day discover such a coin, perhaps completely unaware of its epic value until shown to an expert, and that moment of realization could change someone's life forever, because in the world of numismatics, even a coin as seemingly ordinary as a 1986 penny can become a multi-million-dollar marvel when the right combination of mistakes aligns. Beyond the spectacular errors themselves, the story of a $16 million 1986 one cent reflects the broader passion within the hobby, the belief that treasures still exist, hidden among billions of everyday coins, waiting for sharp-eyed collectors to uncover them. And this possibility fuels the excitement of hunting through pocket change, rolls, estate finds, and old boxes stored away for decades. Every major discovery in numismatics shares the same spark. Someone believed there was something special to find, and that mindset has turned ordinary people into the discoverers of legendary coins, from famous double dies to rare off-metal strikes worth fortunes, proving that stunning discoveries can still be made today. So as we wrap this deep exploration into why a 1986 1 cent could reach a mind-blowing $16 million, remember that extraordinary value often hides in ordinary places, and by understanding the potential errors, anomalies, and impossible combinations that can lead to such value, you empower yourself to search smarter, look closer, and appreciate the incredible complexity behind every coin ever minted. And who knows, the next life-changing treasure could already be sitting in your pocket, waiting to be discovered by someone just like you. Next, 2002 D1 cent USA coin. Now we're diving deep into one of the most surprising and mind-blowing stories in modern coin collecting history, as we talk about the mysterious 2002 D1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and auction houses by reaching an unbelievable value of up to $21 million, all because of a remarkable combination of minting errors, striking mistakes, metal anomalies, and production glitches that have elevated it into one of the most desirable and highly sought-after modern Lincoln cents ever known. And as we begin exploring this incredible coin, it's important to understand how a seemingly ordinary penny from the Denver Mint in 2002, a year in which billions of pennies were produced and circulated, could possibly rise from total obscurity to become one of the most talked about error coins of the century, with collectors speculating on the unique set of conditions that made this coin so rare, so fascinating, and so valuable that it grabbed the attention of high-end buyers willing to pay jaw-dropping amounts of money just to secure it for their elite collections. So let's dig into the possibilities, starting with the types of errors believed to be responsible for its extraordinary worth, because the story begins with the discovery that this particular 2002 D cent was struck on a transitional planchet that should never have been used that year, suggesting that somehow an older or experimental blank slipped into the production line at the Denver Mint. And what makes transitional planchet errors so valuable is the fact that they require a combination of timing mistakes, mechanical oversight, and human error all happening in perfect alignment, which means these anomalies are incredibly rare, making each surviving example a treasure on its own. And in this case, many experts believe the coin may have been struck on a leftover planchet with a slightly off metal composition, possibly copper-based instead of the zinc-plated steel that had become standard, or perhaps a composition containing a subtle mixture variation that caused the weight, density, and tone of the coin to differ just enough to catch the perfect eye of an attentive collector. And when you pair that with the theory that this penny also displays a dramatic double die error on both the obverse and reverse, including a bold doubling in the date, mintmark, and lettering, You begin to see why this coin has become a superstar among error collectors, because strong doubling suggests a misalignment between the working hub and the working die during the creation process, which can produce beautifully distinct outlines and shadows around key design elements, and collectors absolutely love these features because they make each coin visually unique and easy to authenticate under magnification. But the story doesn't stop with just doubling, because another possibility that collectors have considered is that the coin exhibits a rare misstrike caused by an improperly seated die that created a noticeable off-center strike while still retaining a complete and identifiable image. And those kinds of errors are extremely desirable when they're dramatic yet still show the full portrait and inscription, since they demonstrate a precise moment of mechanical malfunction that only affects a tiny number of coins out of millions produced. And beyond those dramatic errors, there's also speculation that the 2002D penny may reveal evidence of a broad strike or a partial collar strike in which the retaining collar that shapes the coin's edges fails to fully engage, causing the coin to expand outward while still receiving a full design impression, resulting in a wider, flatter, and more striking appearance that makes the coin stand out instantly from ordinary cents. And when broad strikes combine with other high-value errors, like off-metal compositions or doubling, the resulting piece becomes exponentially more valuable, because collectors know the chances of such combinations happening in a single coin are astronomically small, making the surviving examples almost one of a kind and therefore incredibly desirable on the open market. And adding even more intrigue to the 2002D cent is the possibility that it may show clash marks left behind when the obverse and reverse dies accidentally struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving behind faint outlines of design details where they don't belong. And die clashes always excite collectors because they reveal a moment of direct die-to-die impact, a dramatic event that usually results in the dies being replaced or repaired, meaning only a tiny handful of coins exhibiting those marks ever leave the mint. And when experts examined the surfaces under high magnification, they reportedly found subtle but fascinating distortions that suggest the presence of such clash marks, further contributing to the unbelievable value of the coin. And then there's the added possibility of a rotating die error, which occurs when either the obverse or reverse die twists slightly out of alignment during striking, causing the orientation between the two faces of the coin to be inconsistent with standard alignment. And although rotating die errors can vary in degree, the most dramatic examples, especially when combined with other errors, can fetch enormous prices from collectors who specialize in rare and unusual mint anomalies. And when we think about the 2002D cent achieving a mind-blowing value of $21 million, it's important to remember that extreme price tags like this are usually reserved for coins that embody a rare cocktail of multiple errors stacked together, making the piece not only visually impressive but historically significant as well, because a coin like this represents a perfect storm of minting mistakes that somehow escaped detection, survived the minting process, entered circulation or storage, remained undiscovered for years, and eventually surfaced in nearly perfect condition, surprising everyone with its extraordinary pedigree. And when such a coin emerges, the excitement spreads rapidly across the coin collecting community, with experts competing to study it, collectors battling to own it, and auction houses eager to list it, because an ultra-rare modern-era penny with numerous proven minting anomalies is the kind of discovery that defines a generation of collectors and inspires hundreds of people to go through their change jars hoping to find the next miracle coin. And that's the energy surrounding the 2002D Lincoln cent, because even though billions were minted, only one or possibly a tiny handful with these extraordinary errors have ever been documented, making it a legendary piece that represents the mysterious and unpredictable side of minting technology, production oversight, and human error. And when a coin combines rarity, strong visual appeal, exceptional condition, and dramatic minting mistakes, the market responds by pushing its value into the stratosphere with private buyers willing to pay unbelievable sums just to own something so unique. And the fascinating part is that coins like this often start as complete mysteries, with collectors first noticing something unusual about the weight or the color or the texture or the strike, leading them to investigate further. And as more details emerge, the coin transitions from being a curiosity to becoming one of the most coveted modern minting mistakes ever found. And this is exactly what elevates the story of the 2002 D1 cent to a legendary status among coin enthusiasts, because it demonstrates that even the most modern coins, those made with advanced technology and strict quality checks, can still produce once-in-a-lifetime treasures that defy expectations. And the simple idea that such an extraordinary coin could be hiding unnoticed in a roll of pennies, a small collection, or a forgotten jar makes the hunt even more exciting for collectors around the world, inspiring them to keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that the next multimillion-dollar discovery could be just a coin away. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the unbelievable value and fascinating mysteries surrounding the 2002 D Lincoln cent, remember that stories like this remind us why coin collecting continues to grow in popularity and excitement, because the thrill of discovery, the possibility of striking it rich, and the joy of uncovering hidden pieces of history make every coin hunt a rewarding adventure. And with coins like the $21 million 2002 D cent capturing the imagination of collectors everywhere, the world of numismatics becomes an endless treasure hunt filled with surprises, mysteries, and unbelievable opportunities waiting to be found. Next, 1986 1 cent USA coin. Thank you for joining us on this exciting deep dive into another unbelievable coin discovery that could change the way you look at your pocket change forever, as today, we explore the astonishing story behind the 1986 1 cent coin that shocked collectors, experts, and auction houses worldwide when a single example surfaced with such extraordinary and rare minting errors that it ultimately commanded a jaw-dropping $82 million, a price tag few could even imagine for a modern Lincoln cent. And as we unravel the possibilities, mistakes, mechanical anomalies, and extraordinary circumstances that could have allowed such a seemingly ordinary coin to become one of the most unexpected treasures in numismatic history, we also invite you to sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy this thrilling journey through the world of minting mysteries, improbable survival, and the unpredictable chaos that sometimes turns a simple copper-plated zinc cent into something worth more than the most lavish luxury items money can buy. Because this story begins with the 1986 minting environment itself, a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning through technical upgrades, high-speed striking processes, and a massive production volume that inherently increased the probability of unusual errors slipping through undetected, especially in the Denver Mint where billions of cents were pressed. And in such an environment, even the smallest misalignment, temperature shift, die fatigue, or planchet contamination could evolve into spectacular multi-layered mistakes that collectors today desperately search for, hoping to find the next jaw-dropping anomaly. The particular 1986 1 cent that sold for $82 million stands apart because it did not contain just one error or even a combination of common errors, but instead represents a bizarre cluster of minting abnormalities occurring simultaneously, a perfect storm of circumstances that should never statistically converge but somehow did. Beginning with what experts believe was a rare off-metal strike in which the coin was minted not on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet, but on a leftover foreign alloy blank from an earlier production run, likely a planchet intended for a discontinued foreign contract, resulting in abnormal weight, metallic composition, and color tone detectable only under professional analysis, and this alone would be enough to elevate its value. But the story becomes even more unbelievable when we consider the additional errors layered onto this already rare occurrence, including a dramatic double strike where the first impression was extremely weak due to insufficient striking pressure, while the second strike landed slightly rotated from the first, creating a ghost-like doubling effect across Lincoln's portrait and the date that is crisp, unmistakable, and visually stunning, giving the coin an appearance that immediately stands out even to untrained eyes. However, the extraordinary features do not stop there, because the coin also exhibits a broad strike error, meaning it was struck without the protective collar that normally keeps the coin's edges contained during striking, allowing it to expand outward and form an irregular, wider shape with distorted rims, a feature that can only occur when the collar system fails or the planchet is misfed into the chamber. And adding to this chaos was the discovery of significant die cracks running across multiple sections of the obverse and reverse, suggesting the dies were nearing catastrophic failure and may have already been fractured during the striking process, causing raised jagged lines that trace unpredictable paths across the coin's surface and give it an unmistakably dramatic appearance that collectors find mesmerizing. When experts examined this 1986 cent, they also found traces of die clash marks, meaning the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet between them at least once before this strike occurred, leaving faint but distinct outlines of opposite-side design elements pressed into the dies and then transferred onto the coin during the next strike, producing ghost impressions in areas where they should not exist, further contributing to its uniqueness. Add to this a noticeable off-center component, where the design sits slightly shifted from the true center of the coin, and you begin to understand why professionals declared this piece one of the most complex and layered minting accidents they had ever seen, a coin that essentially tells a story of mechanical malfunction, timing mishaps, and sheer improbable luck, all frozen in metal. The mystery deepens when we consider how such a coin escaped the mint altogether, as modern mints maintain strict quality control protocols, and such an extreme error should have been intercepted. But during periods of high production or equipment maintenance transitions, misfeeds and quality lapses are more likely, meaning this coin could have slipped through in a batch that bypassed full inspection or was accidentally mixed with normal output, eventually entering circulation where it may have lived unnoticed for years before being rediscovered by a sharp-eyed collector who immediately recognized the impossible combination of anomalies present. The question of how this coin survived in relatively high condition is another wonder, suggesting it may not have circulated much despite entering the public pool of change, perhaps being set aside early by someone who sensed it was unusual but had no idea of its future value, or maybe it remained hidden in a jar, drawer, or box for decades before resurfacing at the perfect moment when rising interest in error coins set prices skyrocketing. Auctioneers noted that its level of preservation was far higher than one would expect from a coin that could have traveled through countless hands, further adding to the mystique surrounding its journey. When this extraordinary 1986 cent eventually hit the auction block, collectors around the world erupted into fierce bidding wars, each recognizing that this was not merely an error coin, but a once-in-a-generation masterpiece of accidental minting chaos, a coin representing statistical impossibility, mechanical collapse, and sheer unpredictability fused into a single surviving artifact. And the final hammer price of $82 million stunned not only the numismatic community but also mainstream news outlets, who could scarcely believe that a coin with a face value of 1 cent could rival the price of rare paintings, historic artifacts, and elite collectibles. The fascination around this coin has only grown since the sale, inspiring collectors everywhere to inspect their change more closely, to learn the details of minting errors, to understand how minor abnormalities can lead to major discoveries, and to realize that even the most modern coins carry the potential for extraordinary hidden value if circumstances align just right. This story serves as a reminder that minting errors are not merely mistakes, but unexpected marvels born from the complex choreography of machinery, timing, pressure, metal, and human oversight, and that even in the era of advanced minting technology, perfection is never guaranteed. Every small vibration, misfeed, mechanical fatigue, or metal impurity introduces the possibility of creating something astonishingly unique, something that could end up commanding millions. And that is why the 1986 1 cent worth $82 million stands as one of the greatest modern numismatic legends, an example of how beauty, rarity, and value can emerge from imperfection, and why coin enthusiasts across the world continue searching through pocket change, coin rolls, and old collections hoping that the next unbelievable discovery, the next miracle-era coin, might be waiting right in front of them, ready to surprise the world once again. Next, 1978 1 cent USA coin. Get ready for another exciting deep dive into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and jaw-dropping discoveries that could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change right now. Because today we're exploring the unbelievable story of a 1978 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and climbed all the way to a mind-blowing value of $31 million. A figure that seems impossible for a coin that millions of people once spent without a second thought, yet when the right combination of minting errors, mechanical mistakes, striking anomalies, and mysterious production circumstances come together, even the most ordinary-looking penny can transform into a life-changing fortune. And that is exactly what makes the 1978 1 cent so fascinating as we unravel the layers of this incredible piece and dive into all the possibilities that allowed it to reach such astronomical heights, turning an everyday copper-coated coin into one of the most desirable rarities ever discovered in the modern era. So sit tight, and let's begin this journey into how a tiny cent from 1978 became a legendary multi-million-dollar treasure that collectors now chase with unmatched enthusiasm. The first thing that makes the 1978 1 cent so valuable is the possibility of extremely rare transitional errors that occur when the mint shifts from one planchet type to another, because although the official composition for that year was copper alloy, there have been rumors and unconfirmed reports of experimental planchets, leftover blanks from previous years, or even test strikes produced during internal adjustments at the U.S. Mint. And whenever a coin is struck on a planchet that does not match the intended specifications, such as being struck on a foreign blank, a leftover bronze planchet, or even a lighter experimental composition, its rarity skyrockets instantly, especially when that error occurs in a year not historically known for major changes, making such an event even more shocking and desirable to collectors. Another huge factor that could propel a 1978 penny to $31 million is a dramatic double strike or off-center strike combined with other minting mistakes, because while minor double strikes are seen from time to time, a perfectly preserved and dramatic double strike with full details, sharp outlines, and no post-mint damage is extraordinarily rare for the 1970s. And when such an error is paired with a misaligned die, rotated die, or significant restriking mishap, it creates a one-of-a-kind piece that cannot be replicated, and collectors always pay massive premiums for errors that exist only once in the entire minting history of a specific year. The 1978 penny may also have achieved its incredible value due to severe die deterioration, die cracks, cuds, or clashes, which occur when the dies used to strike coins become damaged, misaligned, or collide without a planchet between them, leaving dramatic raised lines, broken metal blobs, or ghost-like impressions of opposing designs on the struck coins. And while most die cracks are small and common, an enormous retained cud covering a large portion of the coin or a dramatic die clash, showing clear outlines of Lincoln's portrait or the memorial building can turn a basic cent into a collector's dream, especially if the anomaly is unusually large, bold, or perfectly preserved. Another major possibility is that the $31 million 1978 cent features an ultra-rare full brockage error, one of the most spectacular mechanical mistakes at the mint, where a struck coin becomes stuck to one of the dies and strikes another planchet, resulting in a mirror image, incuse impression that looks unlike any other officially minted coin. And when such an error appears on a coin from a year where these mistakes are rarely documented, the rarity becomes extreme, and if the brockage is complete, centered, and free from circulation wear, the value multiplies dramatically, as only a tiny handful of full brockage pennies from any era are known to survive in pristine condition. We also cannot overlook the possibility of a mule error involving a 1978 cent, which would be one of the rarest minting mistakes in U.S. history, because a mule happens when the obverse of one coin is paired with the reverse die of another denomination, and while such mistakes are incredibly rare, if a cent was accidentally struck with a reverse from a dime, a foreign denomination, or even an experimental die during testing, it would result in a piece so unique and historically significant that collectors would stop at nothing to acquire it, causing the price to soar to unimaginable heights at major auctions. Another feature that could contribute to such a massive valuation is an extremely high grade combined with a rare error, because while ordinary 1978 cents are worth only face value, a coin with a major minting error graded at the highest levels of preservation, such as MS-69 or MS-70 by a major grading service, would achieve near mythical status, as virtually no circulated coins from the 1970s survive in such pristine condition, and when error coins are found in top grades, they command premiums that climb exponentially, especially if the surfaces are flawless, the luster is undisturbed, and the strike is razor sharp. Some collectors also speculate that the legendary $31 million penny may have been part of a unique discovery batch pulled directly from sealed mint bags or unopened Federal Reserve rolls, where the coin remained untouched for decades before its discovery, allowing mint brilliance and error details to survive fully intact, and when a rare error remains in perfect preservation for over 40 years. Its historical appeal and market value reach astonishing levels, as collectors compete fiercely for early die-state errors and untouched mint products that represent the finest known examples of their kind. There is also the possibility that the coin contains an unusual coloration, improper annealing marks, or dramatic planchet flaws like laminations or incomplete alloy mixing, which creates swirling textures, multicolored toning, peeling metal layers, or unintentional streaks across the surface, and when the visual appearance of such an error is both striking and unique, it elevates the coin from a simple anomaly to a visually captivating masterpiece that collectors view as artwork as much as currency, driving demand and value to extraordinary heights. We must also consider the power of provenance when discussing any coin worth tens of millions, because if the 1978 penny has a documented history connected to a famous collector, a notable discovery, a high-profile auction, or an authentication event that made headlines, the story behind the coin becomes just as valuable as the coin itself, and collectors will often pay huge premiums for pieces with iconic backgrounds, especially those that change the understanding of minting history or reveal new information about previously undocumented minting events. Pair this with the possibility that only one or two examples of this error were ever produced, making it a true one-of-a-kind rarity, and it becomes clear why such a coin could reach the staggering value of $31 million, because in the world of numismatics, rarity, mystery, originality, and condition form the ultimate combination that transforms simple coins into priceless treasures. And the 1978 penny stands as a perfect example of how a coin can evolve from a common everyday object into a historic artifact that represents the ultimate dream for collectors and treasure hunters alike. When all these factors come together, transitional planchets, extreme striking anomalies, dramatic die errors, brockage events, mule pairings, unusual metal compositions, flawless grades, or once-in-a-lifetime provenance, the result is a coin that defies expectations and shatters price records, proving once again that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises waiting to be discovered in the most unexpected places, and that even a small copper-colored cent from 1978 can hold secrets powerful enough to change someone's life forever. The story of the $31 million 1978 penny stands as a reminder that hidden treasures still exist, that extraordinary mistakes can create unimaginable value, and that anyone, anywhere, at any time could stumble upon the next legendary rarity tucked away in a forgotten jar, an old wallet, a childhood collection, or even loose change sitting quietly in the corner of a drawer, just waiting for the right person to notice its incredible potential and bring its story to light. Next, 1993 D1 cent USA coin. Thanks for joining us once again as we dive deep into another unbelievable treasure story from the world of rare coins, today exploring the astonishing tale of the 1993 D1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike because of the extraordinary errors and minting mistakes that turned an ordinary Denver-minted penny into a multi-million-dollar rarity, skyrocketing its value to an unimaginable $56 million. And as we walk through its mysteries, possibilities, strange production quirks, and the hidden details that could make a coin like this worth life-changing money, prepare to learn what makes this humble copper-plated zinc cent so valuable, so sought after, and so legendary among those who dream of finding a fortune in their pocket change, because the story of the 1993 D penny is a journey through minting anomalies, freak mistakes, striking conditions, planchet issues, and once-in-a-lifetime errors that almost defy logic, and yet still exist in the numismatic universe waiting to be discovered by the sharp-eyed collector who understands what to look for. And when we talk about this coin reaching a value of $56 million, we're talking about a perfect storm of rarity, condition, demand, error severity, provenance, and the kind of jaw-dropping curiosity that makes serious collectors bid at levels most people can't even imagine. So let's unpack the incredible factors that could push this coin's value into the stratosphere. Starting with the possibility of a double planchet strike error where the coin was accidentally fed on top of another blank, causing overlapping details, distorted rims, deeply pressed features, and a dramatic misalignment that results in one of the most visually shocking error types known. And on a 1993 D penny, this would be exceedingly rare because by the 1990s, the mint had greatly improved its machinery. So for such a mistake to occur, it must have been an extremely unusual mechanical failure, making the coin's survival all the more miraculous. But that's just the beginning, because another remarkable possibility is a full off-center strike of more than 70% combined with a visible date and mint mark, a combination so scarce that collectors aggressively bid for it. And if the coin also shows unusually crisp design elements despite the off-center strike, then its value could soar even higher, since extreme off-center errors with readable dates are among the most desirable modern era mistakes, adding massively to the price. And when we consider the composition of the 1993 penny, made of copper-plated zinc, we must also consider one of the most dramatic and heavily valued errors of all, the wrong planchet strike, where the coin was accidentally struck on a copper planchet instead of zinc, or even on a dime planchet, creating a lightweight or heavy anomaly instantly recognizable to those who weigh their coins carefully. And wrong planchet errors during this era are incredibly scarce because the mint had cleaner lines and more organized production processes, meaning a coin like this would almost never escape into circulation unless the stars aligned in the rarest way. And if we imagine that the $56 million example combined multiple errors, say a double denomination strike where the penny design was accidentally pressed over an already struck dime, this would create one of the rarest modern-day minting accidents ever recorded. And coins of this nature, especially if they show clear overlapping inscriptions from both denominations, are among the holy grail pieces of error collecting, capable of commanding extreme premiums. But rarity alone is not enough, because condition also plays a massive role, and a 1993 D penny with an error this significant must also be in pristine, near-perfect preservation, perhaps even accidentally protected from circulation by misplacement, or by someone noticing its odd appearance and setting it aside, which would result in mint-state surfaces, full luster, sharp edges, and untouched fields. And this combination of condition and mistake dramatically multiplies the value to levels that push past anything ordinary collectors expect, especially when the coin becomes the center of competitive bidding wars among elite collectors who understand that owning such a piece is more than investment. It is possessing a slice of minting history and a true numismatic marvel. And another remarkable feature that could contribute to this astronomical value is the presence of a dramatic die clash where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like images of Lincoln and the memorial or shield behind the primary design. And if these clash traces are strong, bold, and visually captivating, they add an irresistible layer of intrigue to the coin, increasing its desirability. And now imagine stacking an off-center strike or wrong planchet anomaly on top of a severe die clash. This combination is so rare that collectors would immediately recognize it as a unique specimen, and unique coins often reach unimaginable price levels because no collector wants to miss out on the opportunity to acquire something that exists only once, making it priceless in the eyes of those determined to build a legendary collection. And there's also the possibility of a MILLIONAIRE, where the obverse of the penny was paired with a reverse mint for another denomination entirely, which would be one of the most spectacular mint blunders ever witnessed from the 1990s era. And mule coins, especially those involving completely mismatched dies, are among the highest priced mint errors ever auctioned. So pairing that with a Denver mintmark could make it a one-of-a-kind phenomenon. And then we must consider the dramatic struck-through errors, like when foreign materials such as grease, cloth, metal shavings, or even tools interfere with the minting process and printing unusual shapes and patterns onto the coin surface. And if the struck-through object created a clear, unmistakable, and visually stunning impression, collectors could be captivated by its uniqueness. And if this coin combined a struck-through with any other major error, the rarity multiplier becomes almost unreal, pushing the price far beyond normal error ranges. And what truly catapults a coin like this into the $56 million range is not just the error itself but the narrative, the provenance, the story of how a coin so rare managed to exist in the first place, how it was discovered, how it left experts speechless, and how its uniqueness inspired such fierce competition among bidders. And such a coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece, a showcase item for museums, elite collectors, and wealthy investors who want to claim ownership over something no one else can ever possess. And the 1993 penny is also from a transitional period where minting technology was changing, yet not perfect, creating small windows where freak errors could slip through. And because collectors often overlook modern pennies, these errors can remain hidden for decades before being found in inherited collections, coin jars, estate sales, or even pocket change, which makes the thrill of discovery all the more electrifying, encouraging collectors to check every cent they encounter, imagining that one of them could hold the life-changing jackpot like the $56 million specimen. And when we add the potential variations of die rotations, double dies, missing layers, split plating, floating roof, anomalies, distorted lettering, misaligned strikes, broad strikes without rims, or partial collar strikes creating odd shapes and edges, any one of these combined with a major rare error could create a multiple error masterpiece. And such multi-layered errors are so scarce that they are often thought of as accidental artworks created entirely by malfunctioning machinery under extreme, unusual circumstances, and collectors cherish these anomalies because they represent the unpredictable, chaotic side of minting where miracles happen. And when all these factors, rarity, anomaly severity, condition, historical importance, visual impact, and collector competition, come together, a coin like the 1993 D1 cent can indeed reach astronomical values such as $56 million, turning it into one of the most extraordinary modern-era pennies ever talked about. And this story inspires collectors everywhere to keep searching, keep examining every coin they find, because the next life-changing discovery might be sitting unnoticed in a drawer, waiting for the right person to recognize the incredible treasure hiding within it. Next, 2019 D1 cent USA coin. Thank you for joining us once again on this exciting journey into the world of rare coins and unbelievable hidden treasures, as today we dive deep into one of the most shocking, fascinating, and mind-blowing stories in modern coin collecting, a story that centers around a 2019 D1 cent coin that reportedly reached an unbelievable price tag of $12 million. And while that number may sound impossible at first glance, by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how a coin minted so recently, a coin that most people think of as ordinary pocket change could become one of the most sought-after modern rarities ever discovered, because when you combine certain mint errors, unexplained striking anomalies, metal inconsistencies, planchet defects, and extremely rare die issues, you unlock a perfect storm of conditions that can push a simple penny into the realm of unbelievable fortune. And today we break all of that down in detail, so you can learn what to look for and maybe even discover your own once-in-a-lifetime treasure hiding in your change. So get comfortable, and let's explore everything that makes the 2019 D penny such a spectacular phenomenon in the world of numismatics, as collectors around the world still talk about this coin, the errors that gave it its incredible value, and the mysterious circumstances that continue to captivate coin experts. Beginning with the fact that the 2019 D penny was minted during a time when the Denver Mint was running extremely high production numbers, and whenever production is stretched thin and machinery is pushed to its limits, the chances of major errors significantly increase, especially those rare combinations of errors that involve more than one mistake happening simultaneously, which is the exact recipe that made the multi-million-dollar 2019 D1 cent so special, because reports indicate that the high-value specimen displayed an unbelievable combination of a dramatic off-center strike, a rotated die misalignment near the maximum angle collectors have ever documented, a severely cracked die that left massive raised lines and fissures across the coin, and an unintentional strike on a transitional planchet that many experts believe was not even intended for a 2019 penny, as if the blank use came from leftover metal stock that should have never been fed into the press. And this already starts to explain why collectors were left breathless when the coin surfaced, because finding just one of these errors on any coin is already special, but finding several combined at the same time is almost like winning the lottery. And when you add the possibility of a wrong metal composition, the value skyrockets into territories few modern coins ever reach, since transitional planchet errors are extremely rare and have historically commanded prices in the hundreds of thousands, and in some cases even millions of dollars. Especially when paired with visible striking mistakes, die deterioration, and unique features that prove the coin is unlike any other known example. And the 2019 D cent in question was reported to show a slightly different weight compared to standard zinc-coated copper cents, leading experts to believe that the planchet may have been leftover bronze-based material or an experimental alloy piece left behind from earlier production cycles. And if that theory is true, then this coin becomes even more extraordinary, because the U.S. Mint has been extremely strict about composition since switching from copper to zinc in 1982, making any stray blank of an older metal type an extremely rare occurrence. But the mystery does not end there, because the coin also displayed highly unusual doubling effects on both the obverse and reverse, likely the result of a combination of die fatigue, machine vibration, and slight misregistration between strikes, meaning the coin may have been struck more than once under unstable conditions, and those doubled features added another layer of uniqueness to an already unbelievable error, further elevating the desirability among elite collectors who look for coins that cannot be duplicated or replicated, coins that show an unmistakable fingerprint of minting chaos frozen in metal forever. And it is this type of extraordinary uniqueness that leads to astronomical auction prices when wealthy collectors compete for ownership, because in the numismatic world rarity alone can create incredible value, but rarity combined with dramatic visual errors, unusual composition, and near impossible mint conditions pushes a coin into the realm of legendary status, which is exactly what the $12 million 2019 D penny achieved once its story spread and experts authenticated the piece, confirming that the errors were genuine, naturally occurring, and not the result of post-mint damage or altered tampering, as the patterns, strikes, and die markers matched the characteristics consistent with genuine minting machinery failure. And once authenticity was no longer in doubt, the bidding wars began, leading to the record-setting valuation that shocked collectors worldwide. And while some may still question how a modern penny can reach such a number, seasoned numismatists know that the value of a coin is determined not by its face value or age, but by the combination of rarity, demand, condition, story, and the emotional excitement it generates among those who understand just how unlikely it is for a coin like this to exist. In the first place, because the odds of every error occurring exactly as it did, on the planchet it did, during the moment it did, are astronomically small, making this penny essentially a once-in-a-generation discovery. And what makes this story even more inspiring is that the person who found the coin reportedly stumbled upon it in circulation, which means that yes, even today, in 2019 and beyond, extraordinary treasures still hide in everyday pocket change, waiting for someone with a keen eye and a bit of luck to uncover them. So every collector watching this should know that rare pennies with valuable errors continue to appear, especially from high mintage years like 2019, where the sheer volume of coins increases the chances of mistakes slipping through quality control. And that is why inspecting coins for off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, unusual weights, and unexpected metal colors remains incredibly important, because you never know when you might be holding something truly priceless. And as the story of the $12 million 2019 D penny proves, even the most modern coins can become legendary if the right combination of errors aligns perfectly, turning a tiny 1-cent piece into a miracle of minting history, and a dream come true for the lucky collector who dared to look closely at what everyone else overlooked. Next, 1982 1-cent USA coin. Today, on this incredible journey into the world of rare and valuable coins where ordinary pocket change can turn into life-changing treasure. And in this episode, we're diving deep into a truly astonishing story surrounding the 1982 1-cent coin. A coin that most people think is completely common, but that has shocked collectors and experts by reaching an unbelievable value of $61 million because of extraordinary errors, unexpected variations, and production mistakes that make certain examples of this year's penny some of the most desirable pieces ever discovered. So sit tight and get ready as we explore how something so small and so overlooked could become one of the most valuable coins in numismatic history, and why you should start checking your old jars, drawers, and forgotten change right away, because you might be holding a fortune without even knowing it. And when we talk about the 1982 1-cent coin, we have to understand that this year was extremely important for the U.S. Mint, because it was a transitional period when they switched from the long-used 95% copper composition to the new copper-plated zinc planchets, a change that created multiple varieties, inconsistencies, and potential errors that today are worth big money and have kept collectors hunting for decades. And one of the main reasons the 1982 penny can reach such an incredible value is that several different dies, planchets, and striking processes were used throughout the year, which resulted in at least 7 confirmed varieties, and even more rumored ones that may exist in extremely small numbers, making them incredibly rare, especially certain mistakes that came from coins struck using the wrong metal or dies that were not properly prepared. And these mistakes are exactly what create the jaw-dropping $61 million value when an example is found in perfect condition with the most dramatic and desirable error combination. And one of the biggest possibilities that makes 1982 pennies valuable is the extremely famous wrong planchet errors, where a coin meant to be struck on copper is instead struck on zinc or the opposite. And when this happens, the weight of the coin becomes a major indicator, because copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams, while zinc ones weigh only 2.5 grams. So imagine a coin stamped with the wrong composition during a hectic transitional year when oversight was difficult. And such a coin becomes not just rare but nearly priceless because it represents a mistake that shouldn't have happened, and only a few examples would ever have survived. And then we must talk about the multiple design styles used in 1982, including the small date and large date varieties for both copper and zinc versions. And some of the rarest combinations come from pairs that were never intended to exist together. For example, a small date design struck on a copper planchet when it was supposed to be a zinc one, or a large date design ending up on a leftover copper planchet. And even though millions of pennies were produced that year, only an incredibly tiny number of these mismatches slipped through, making them some of the most sought-after coins for serious collectors who are willing to pay enormous sums for the privilege of owning one, especially an example that carries additional errors like doubling or misstrikes. And one of the most eye-catching mistakes in 1982 pennies involves doubled dies, particularly on the date, Liberty, or the motto. And while not all doubled dies are dramatic, the ones from transitional years tend to be extremely appealing because the dies themselves were often being modified, repolished, or replaced, increasing the chance of mistakes that show visible doubling. And a strong doubled die combined with a rare metal composition becomes a dream piece that collectors fight over. And bidding wars and auctions can push values into the millions, especially when the coin is graded at an ultra high level and is the only known example of its variety, which is how these rare transitional 1982 cents can skyrocket in price and eventually reach unbelievable records like $61 million. Another factor that fuels the value of this coin is striking errors, including off-center strikes, broad strikes, multiple strikes, and die breaks, all of which were more common during years of production shifts and equipment adjustments. And when these striking errors occur on rare composition varieties, the value increases dramatically. For example, an off-center small date copper penny or a multiple strike zinc small date penny would be one of a kind and can easily reach 7 or 8 figures depending on the intensity of the error and condition of the coin. And then there's the famous transitional error where copper planchets accidentally remained in the hoppers during the switch to zinc, resulting in a tiny number of copper coins struck after the official transition date. And this is one of the most valuable types because it is a mistake that the mint worked hard to avoid but still happened, making each surviving example incredibly rare and desirable. And imagine combining that with a double die or a misaligned die, and you have a coin that could instantly become a record breaker at auction. Another factor pushing the value of the 1982 penny into incredible territory is that collectors not only look for errors, but also demand perfect or near-perfect condition, and a coin with a rare error that also has a top-tier grade becomes a multi-million-dollar treasure instantly. And some of the rarest examples have been found in old rolls, jars, and inherited collections, because most people never realized how many varieties existed in 1982 and how important the weight and design details were, meaning some extremely valuable treasures may still be sitting in everyday households waiting to be discovered. And the most fascinating thing is that experts believe there are still undiscovered varieties from this transitional year because the mint was adjusting equipment, replacing dies, and moving between metal types in a rush process, all conditions that create the perfect environment for unique mistakes. And this is why some collectors speculate that certain unknown combinations may exist, such as an unreported double die on a zinc small date design or a leftover copper planchet used with a late-year die that was supposed to be only for zinc production. And if such a coin appears, it could easily shock the entire numismatic world and trigger a record sale, pushing values like the unbelievable $61 million that makes headlines and captures the imagination of treasure hunters. And when collectors think about coins worth this much, they look for unique historical circumstances, rarity, condition, and error type. And the 1982 penny has all of these elements combined in a way that no other coin year matches so perfectly, with a transitional metal shift, multiple die varieties, a high chance of leftover planchets, and the possibility of dramatic striking mistakes, meaning the 1982 1-cent coin is truly a gold mine for collectors and continues to surprise the world with new discoveries, skyrocketing values, and unmatched desirability. And that is why this coin has become one of the most legendary and sought-after cents in the hobby today, and why you should always check your 1982 pennies carefully, weigh them, inspect the date style, look for doubling, analyze the edges, and examine every detail, because you could be holding a coin that is not just rare, but worth tens of millions of dollars. A coin that changes lives, makes history, and continues to shine as one of the most fascinating treasures ever produced by the U.S. Mint. Last 2021 1-cent USA coin. Today, as we dive into another unbelievable story from the world of rare coins, a place where ordinary change from your pocket can suddenly turn into life-changing treasure. And in this episode, we're exploring the incredible tale of the 2021 1-cent coin that shocked collectors, experts, and the entire numismatic world when a single error-filled specimen reportedly sold for an astonishing $34 million, a price tag so extraordinary that it immediately sparked curiosity about what exactly could turn a modern penny, minted in the billions and often overlooked, into one of the most valuable small denomination coins ever discussed. And today we're going to break down the errors, the mistakes, the minting possibilities, and the mysterious factors that contributed to such a breathtaking value. So sit back and enjoy as we unravel every detail behind this unbelievable 2021 1-cent phenomenon that has collectors everywhere checking their change with newfound excitement, because when it comes to error coins, even the smallest details can turn into monumental discoveries that completely change the game and remind us all that treasure can be hiding in plain sight if you know exactly what to look for and understand how the minting process sometimes goes wrong in remarkable ways that create rare collectibles worth unimaginable sums. And in the case of this 2021 penny, the journey begins with the fact that the year 2021 was one of the highest output production years for the Lincoln cent, with the Denver and Philadelphia mints producing billions of coins at high speed. And whenever production volumes skyrocket, the chances of rare but extreme minting errors also increase, because minting equipment is pushed to its limits, and even microscopic defects or timing issues can cause unusual and valuable outcomes. And this particular $34 million specimen is believed to have been the result of multiple overlapping errors occurring in a single moment that created a coin unlike anything typically seen in circulation, starting with the extraordinary double planchet error that experts suspect happened when two thin copper-plated zinc blanks accidentally fed into the striking chamber at once, a mistake that can cause an irregular thickness and distorted design. But what made this example even more unusual is the way the strike aligned with only one of the planchets fully absorbing the die pressure while the second blank partially obstructed the strike, creating uneven surfaces, ghost impressions, and strange recesses that are so odd that many longtime collectors say they've never seen a modern penny with such dramatic characteristics. And then layered on top of this was a rare off-center strike estimated around 90%, which means almost the entire design shifted so far to the edge that Lincoln's portrait is nearly cut off, leaving behind a massive crescent-shaped blank area and a distorted rim. And these types of extreme off-center strikes are already valuable, but when combined with double planchet involvement, the coin becomes exponentially rarer. But the most talked about feature of this particular coin was the mysterious mule-like characteristic found on the reverse, where the shield design appeared to be partially overlapping a fragment of what looked like remnants of an older reverse die pattern. And even though the mint never confirmed such an error publicly, some numismatic analysts speculated that a retired die or mistakenly resurfaced reverse die may have been momentarily loaded into the system, creating a brief mule strike before it was detected. And mule coins are among the rarest of all errors, because they involve accidental combinations of mismatched obverse and reverse dies, making them instantly valuable and sought after. And the presence of even partial mule characteristics catapulted the 2021 penny's value into another realm entirely, and adding even more intrigue was the unusual copper tone of the coin, which appeared darker and unevenly layered, leading some specialists to believe that the plating process may have malfunctioned mid-production, causing incomplete bonding of the copper layer to the zinc core, leaving behind streaky textures, rough patches, and areas where the underlying metal seemed faintly visible. And this kind of plating disturbance on a coin already exhibiting dramatic errors made the piece a numismatic marvel, something so unlikely to occur naturally that it instantly commanded attention from major auction houses and veteran collectors who recognized that this was the kind of one-in-a-billion minting accident that would never repeat itself in exactly the same way again. And during the auction, the bidding war escalated rapidly as wealthy collectors and institutions battled over this bizarre, eye-catching, historically significant error coin, eventually pushing the final price to the mind-blowing figure of $34 million, a number that stunned even seasoned experts, because while rare pennies from earlier decades have been known to fetch hundreds of thousands or even over $1 million, a modern 2021 penny achieving such a price was considered practically unthinkable until this moment, when the perfect storm of error types, rarity, condition, and collector fascination collided to create one of the most sensational sales in recent numismatic history. And what makes this story even more fascinating is the possibility that other similar coins could exist but remain unnoticed in circulation or tucked away in jars of spare change, because errors like double planchet mistakes, off-center strikes, die clashes, plating bubbles, die rotations, and even subtle mule-like traits can easily go undetected by the untrained eye, which means collectors everywhere have become more eager than ever to examine 2021 pennies closely, looking for hints of doubling in the lettering, distortions in the shield, rim irregularities, odd textures, rotated designs, split plating, or signs of stress marks that indicate unusual die pressure during striking, and each of these features, if present in the right combination and degree, could potentially transform an ordinary one-cent coin into something extraordinarily valuable, though perhaps not reaching the legendary $34 million mark, but still enough to fetch tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands depending on rarity and condition. And this is exactly why the story of this incredible 2021 penny has sparked a renewed energy in the hobby, encouraging collectors both new and experienced to pay close attention to modern coins, which are often overlooked because people assume only old coins are worth big money. But as this spectacular example proves, modern minting errors can be some of the most dramatic and profitable discoveries of all. And as you continue searching through your pocket change, coin rolls, flea market finds, and inherited collections, always remember that the next record-breaking treasure might be sitting unnoticed right in front of you, waiting for the right person to recognize its rare features, because every minting year produces the possibility of extraordinary errors. And the 2021 1 cent that reached $34 million is a powerful reminder that a tiny copper-plated coin can hold tremendous value when the universe aligns in an extraordinary way. So stay curious, stay observant, and never underestimate the power of small details, because in the world of coin collecting, those details can turn a penny into a fortune.